Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to more CSGO news. I hope you guys all enjoy. I'm going to just skip past the whole, timestamps are down below crap. Let's hop right into the CSGO news because yesterday was absolutely mind-blowing. We talked about in our last video, guys. Stewie was the first one to tweet out about this. He said, expect the unexpected. Now, there were several pro players out there and management and coaches and owners to follow this. There were so many trolls out there, people thinking, oh my gosh, Stewie might be going back to Cloud9, even though logistically speaking, with their two newest players being Flusha and Golden, they had to actually retain Rush, Automatic, and Golden to actually retain that major spot, so it didn't really make too much sense. And we got our answer yesterday, guys, and it is absolutely insane. And I really, if there's any video out there, I really want the comments to be kind of a forum section because, again, together we know more than all of us separately or individually do, and this is a very confusing time, especially for North American CSGO. Actually, first leaked by Jacob Wolf from ESPN, guys. It will be MiBR going to get rid of Stewie2k. He's going to go to Liquid, supposedly for Taco, so Taco joins MiBR, but along with that, guys, apparently Tarik will be benched on the MiBR roster, and on top of that, probably the biggest loss, Liquid will also lose Zews in this trade. So a quick little recap as well. Stewie and Tarik now gone. It should be Stewie to Liquid. Tarik is now being benched and considering other offers in North America, and it will be MiBR receiving Zews and Taco to replace those roles, which it does seem to be a huge trade. And in my opinion, my first response was North America suffers the most in this, and if anything, I know a lot of people out there think MiBR got the better part of this trade. They likely did, but for the next major, which is just 2 months away, I think both American teams here are losing this fight. So let's break this down piece by piece, guys. First of all, Liquid losing one of the best support players in the world and replacing him with a person who is, well, not a support player himself, that being Stewie2k. It's an obvious big loss here for Liquid, guys. You could especially look over the past 6 months what Taco did with the Liquid roster, and he definitely backed himself up as being one of the better support players. Now, towards the bottom half of his time with SK Gaming, that, of course, that former quad roster over there of LG, I really did think he was an underwhelming player. He has certainly kind of, in my opinion, risen back up to what he once was, and so it does make sense for him to actually rejoin that trio of Cold, Fallen, and Fur and see what he can do with that roster. So the huge loss here, guys, is the support player for Liquid, and they replace it, well, with not a support player. It's going to be a huge role swap, whatever they choose to do on that Liquid roster. You lose Taco, you gain Stewie, who again is going to be an entry role player, but they already have Naf, who is arguably currently a top 3 entry player in the entire world, going off at several tournaments, him alongside Twist. The roster is still nutty, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to role swaps, I'm certainly curious what these guys will do, because you maybe question, will Nitro then go to the support role, and will Stewie IGL like he did it at Cloud9, although you could also say he was almost forced into that IGL role. He never really wanted to do that, but when it comes to role swaps and roles they have played, I'm very curious what this Liquid roster will do. I'm still hopeful for what they will do on top of that, but when you look at this background, especially Thorn has taken to Twitter multiple times to confirm this, and I definitely can agree, what other North American roster in history has been this successful, or you could say semi-successful? Of course, when you look back over just the past 6 months alone, 9 top 4 finishes for this roster. No other North American roster can say that in the history of CSGO, which is insane, right? In 6 months, 9 top 4 finishes, a top 4 finish in the major, guys, other top performances as well. Of course, EPL finals runner-ups. They were runner-ups this year alone 5 times to Astralis in premier events. You cannot argue this is one of the best, if not the best, American rosters ever, and they are now changing rosters and losing a support player and filling him in for a non-support player. So it does not make much sense, but it almost seemed like this was bound to happen. Made in Brazil will now be fully made in Brazil. Of course, going to acquire Taco, guys. The biggest question, though, of course, they acquire Zews, which is probably the biggest loss for Liquid as well. What he's done with that roster over quite some time now is amazing. MiBR wins the initial trade, but the biggest question mark will be, who will MiBR announce as their 5th member? As of right now, we have several different rumors out there. According to K, guys, it could be KNG. According to Nell, it could be Furia member, their best member. That will be Serato, guys. As of right now, the 2 rumored people to be joining the MiB roster as their 5th members, which instantly I thought of when I first thought of this, and I don't know if you guys did as well. Instantly, when it was rumored that KNG would be joining, I thought, wow, what a coincidence. The guy makes an apology 3 days ago and now could be offered to a top organization, which made it seem almost scummy, almost, non-legitimate. It's like he just kind of, oh, I probably should apologize, and then 3 days later, ironically enough, I'm going to get an offer or be possibly joining a big organization who maybe would want me to apologize to the public for all my past wrongs and actions. But either way, we don't know who's going to win here. Yes, initially we can argue, right? You lose for Liquid, you lose a clear role and you actually replace him with a high ceiling cap player who maybe does not fit that role exactly right now. you lose one of the best coaches in American CSGO history, if not a top coach in CS in general, compared to, you know, only a few other coaches out there that have been that consistent and actually stayed on a team that for that long of a time. And then you look at MiBR though. Yes, you gain a player you've played with in the past. You have that instant connection, but you still have no fifth player. You have no fifth member, and if you're going to sign a guy like Serato and in 2 months play a major, this guy is completely unproven. This is the farthest he's ever been in the major, in the actual major system, to actually get to a minor. So he is completely unproven. Yes, you look at his KD, a 1.34 over the past, 6 months, 4 to 6 months. He plays amazing against lower tier Brazilian talent, and he could be the next Zews, but to say that is incredibly high expectations of these guys, and that is why overall I think both these teams, especially for the next 2 months, they lose out. They lose that. They even widen the gap between them and Astralis. We have so many rumored rosters out there currently right now. If you guys have seen this, there's also FaZe rumors out there. There were leaked Steam chats between Seized as well as Guardian about kind of joking about replacements, but we all know the lack of confidence that Kerrigan has had. We all know the public perception of if anyone's going to change on FaZe, it would be Kerrigan to go. We also have Flamey taking to Twitter saying, you know, people want him to leave. We've heard many rumors about Navi maybe replacing him, maybe Edward, even a potential Zews because of his low fragging power. Alongside that, we've had other rumors out there of what teams could be changing, and it's pretty crazy to see of right now, at least rumor wise, you know, 5 or 6 of the top 8 teams in the world are rumored to potentially make changes before the major, and meanwhile you have Astralis sitting back there and probably loving it because, well, they don't have to change anything like ever. And also according to Rush B, guys, yes, Tarik will be benched for the time being, but other North American teams are making offers thanks to Ryan B at Rush B Media. I'll link all the Twitters down below I do use today, guys, as well. Apparently Complexity making an offer for Tarik, which I think is an interesting offer to make. Could it be an improvement for whoever he replaces? Yes, it certainly could be. Would this be a jump up for North American teams? There's so many question marks that no one really knows the answers to. Alongside that, some Brazilian teams making moves. They are looking to improve vastly because Yell has officially been replaced this morning by Bolts, guys. He will return to that roster, which I think is going to be a vast improvement for them. And as I said earlier, guys, they do compete to actually make the minor qualifier. They compete in the minor qualifier to make the minor today as well, and they certainly have a good chance to do so. The top 6 teams will make the American minor, and at the American minor, the top 2 teams will go through. So many teams right now rumored to make roster changes. You can look at probably 5 of the top 8 teams in the world right now to potentially be making changes. I think it's really kind of sad to see as well. Although it was a great run, it's so weird to see teams, both these teams, Liquid and alongside MiBR, top 4 finishes of the major. Alongside that, some decent finishes for MiBR, more so for Liquid. Even more disappointed, I would say, MiBR is actually Yanko, guys. It's going to be great to see him back on the analyst desk. We assume he will go back there. Just 4 months of coaching for the MiBR roster, which I think he, especially initially, did a great job with that roster. But again, some big losses so far rumored right now. It does seem pretty obvious that Liquid and MiBR roster swaps will be happening, guys. What will happen after that? Well, seriously, no one knows. There is so much stuff going on today. And speaking of which, yes, the closed qualifiers for the minor have started for both North America and Europe. We will have finalized those teams by Friday, guys, and that does mean cheer for your teams out there, and it will be Old Guys Club. Can they make it to Poland, guys? Can they place top 6 and bring Dr. Disrespect along with them as their coach? It is certainly a possibility, but leave a comment down below what you guys think about this. Who won this roster swap? Liquid, MiBR, or Astralis? Because that's the real winner here. I'll be back here tomorrow, so like if you can stop by then